Kim here. I'm so excited to be with you this week. Well, I was just working on something and I could use your help. Can you help me on a couple of mazes? All right, let me put up the first one. In this maze, do you see the spider? Can you help the spider get to its web? I'm gonna give you 15 seconds. All right, go. All right, awesome. Well, that was just to warm us up. But here's another maze. Can you help the polar bear get to its cub? All right, this one's a little harder, but you have 15 seconds. Cool. Well, I have one of the hardest mazes around. Are you ready? This one, I think we definitely need to help each other. All right, here it is. Can you get from the start to the finish? Ready? Go. What? You didn't find the finish? Well, neither did I. What would have helped us? Maybe some directions, like start at the top and work down to the side and then finish at the bottom? Yeah, some step-by-step directions may have come in handy. Have you ever found yourself needing directions? Maybe to get somewhere or, I don't know, maybe for a decision to make? Well, let me tell you a story about a time I needed some directions while I was driving. Well, I was driving in my car. It was a Labor Day weekend a few years ago. But all of a sudden I hit all this traffic headed to the beach. Well, I was also headed to Santa Cruz, but not to the beach. I was going to a friend's wedding. And all this traffic was gonna make me late. I was afraid I would miss the wedding. So I typed into my phone, into the GPS navigation system. And do you know what that is? GPS navigation system uses satellites up in space around the Earth, and they send out signals, and the maps on your phone receive the signals, and they can tell where you are on Earth. And then you can type in where you want to go, and it gives you directions. And at the top, it just gives you the next direction at a time. So I was in my car, stuck in traffic. I typed in the directions into my GPS, and it came up with a different way to get to the wedding. So I thought, I gotta try it. I'll try anything. So I turned off, started following the directions one step at a time, and let me tell you, it took me down the craziest, curviest roads, and I thought, this can't be right. What's going on? But I kept following, and eventually I got to the wedding and I made it just on time. The GPS directions helped me. Well, we've been talking about some different aspects of God's personality, of his character. And today I want to tell you how God is like a GPS system. He has good directions and his directions are trustworthy. So what are some ways that God gives us what are some ways that God gives us directions to help us make decisions in life? Well, one way is through his Bible. And I know I've showed you this Bible before, but I'm so excited because I just finished it finally after all these years. And I've read through it, I've marked it up, I've done so much reading and found out so many directions that's written right here for us all to read. In the book of Psalms, it says that the Word, the Bible, is like a lamp for our feet and a light for our way. So I finished this Bible, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop reading. I got a new Bible, and I've already started, and I'm already learning and remembering new things. So that's one way, through the Bible. Another way that God gives us directions is through trustworthy leaders and adults in our lives. they can still be reading the Bible, they can be hearing from God and sharing what they hear. So just like me today, I'm sharing with you what God has taught me through the Bible and just through speaking to me. Well, the third way that God speaks to us can be individually. He can give us a God word. And that looks different for other people, but we all have the ability, we all have access to hear from God. And reading the Bible, listening to trusted adults can help tune our ears to know what God's voice sounds like when we hear it. So I have a story from the Bible about someone who got a God word. He heard something specific from God just for him. So his name was Joshua. And in the book of Joshua chapter 6, it tells this story of how the Israelites were coming into the promised land, but in order to take over the promised land, they had to first conquer the city of Jericho. But Jericho had a big, thick wall all around the city, and the Israelites couldn't get past that wall. So God told Joshua a special set of directions. And he said, all right, take your army and every day walk around the outside of the wall and do this 6 days in a row. And on the 7th day, you're gonna walk again. But at the end of your lap, you're gonna give a big shout, and that's the direction. The Israelites were probably thinking, what? This is crazy. This is not a battle strategy. They were probably feeling like I did when I was in my car on those windy roads to Santa Cruz. Like, can I even trust this? But Joshua and the Israelites, they went around 6 days in a row. They went around on the 7th day, and then they gave their loud shout. And you know what? That big, thick wall around Jericho fell down. And the Israelites were able to have victory. They listened to God, they obeyed God, and they got victory. So just like that, God has specific directions for us sometimes. It might not be a battle plan. God's never told me how to win a battle, but he has told me some cool things in my life. Sometimes he'll tell me to go talk to a friend in a specific moment. And I don't always know why, but sometimes I've done it, I've obeyed him, and then afterwards I find out that was exactly what was supposed to happen. That friend needed a listening ear just in that moment. And another one was that God told me to serve in kids' church, and it has been such a blessing for me to do that. And the last thing I wanted to mention was that God told me a few years back to help lead a mission trip. And it was something I probably would have been too nervous to do on my own. But since I was sure that God had told me, yeah, this is for you, I was able to help lead in that way, and it was such an amazing experience. So just like with the step-by-step directions on our GPS, God gives us usually just the next step. He doesn't tell us the whole route. We just get the next step, and we have to obey and trust. And just like on my GPS on my phone, I could ignore that and do it my own way. Same with God, I could ignore what he tells me, but let me tell you, when you listen, when you follow his directions, he takes you to such amazing places that you could not even imagine. So, I have a little activity for us today to remind us just of mazes of directions and just the importance of having directions in our life. So on a piece of paper, I just have made a simple maze, start and end, and I just made a simple little snake design down there. Well, I could add on to my maze and make some dead ends and some tricky paths to take. So you can just get really creative here, make it as complicated, as difficult as you want. And when you're happy with your maze, all you need is a plastic sheet protector, and you can stick your paper right in there. And I like to put a few pieces of paper behind it so it has a little bit more weight to it. But you just stick your maze right inside. And if you happen to have a dry erase marker, you could take your maze to someone at home and ask them. You can give them 15 seconds and see if they can solve it. And maybe they can, or maybe they get stumped, who knows. But after they try it, you can wipe it clean with a tissue and then pass it on to somebody else to try. So today as you're making your maze, think about all the wonderful ways that God gives us directions, and I hope you have a great Sunday and a great rest of your week. Take care.